My grandmother, Cathy Fretz, was born and raised in South Omaha, Nebraska. She grew up with lots of opportunity because her grandfather was the president of the world's largest livestock company, located in Omaha. The Frank Sturba Livestock Commission Company was located in the Union Stockyards Company in South Omaha. Majority of the white people lived in South and West Omaha, while the African American population was all in North Omaha. The trains that passed through Omaha in the 1940s were mainly livestock trains and freight trains. Cathy Fretz was born in 1941 and grew up on the top of the hill in South Omaha. The community was all from Czech origin, so the community had very little diversity.
My first encounter with a black person was in college. I had never had a black girl in grade school with me. I had never met a black girl in high school, and college was the first place that I had actually a student who was black, and encouraged me to go out, and during the summers I would get part-time jobs, and in particular I worked one summer at the Jocelyn Art Museum in the children's department, and another girl that worked there became my good friend, and she was black. It was the first exposure I had to any person of another nationality.
There was only one railroad that went through Omaha at the time, and that was Union Pacific Railroad. Many African Americans at the time worked in the meatpacking industry. They also worked for railroad companies in the area. There was an African American baseball team there at the time, the Omaha Rockets in the Negro League. The Omaha Star also brought many jobs to African Americans. It was founded in 1938 and was the only black newspaper in the state. The jobs in Omaha for African Americans did not correspond with their living situation. The properties available for African Americans were restricted to North Omaha because North Omaha was deemed black and the rest of the city white. Since the living conditions weren't the best, some blacks sought a bit of help from accepting and understanding white people. Cathy's grandfather and family were one of the only white families who accepted blacks and treated them the best that they could.
I remember being 5 years old, and this black man, who my sister and I called the boogeyman because we had never seen anybody like this, but he was a dirty man riding the tracks or the railroads, and he would come up the hill to the back door of my grandfather's house, and my grandfather and grandmother would feed him at night with any leftover food they had from dinner. And he had anything he owned was in a gunny sack over his back. And my sister and I called him the boogeyman. So anytime we would try and scare each other, we'd tell each other that the boogeyman was coming to get us and going to throw us in his gunny sack.
While racial tensions were still prevalent in Omaha, one club worked to help end segregation. The DePorres Club was formed in 1947 by Reverend John Marco of Creighton University, along with African American and white high school and college students. The club was originally formed to help these racial tensions on the Creighton campus, but eventually helped to lead activism throughout the Omaha community.
That night, my mother and dad got a call from the neighbor across the street, an elderly man and woman who were irate that I brought a black girl into the neighborhood. And they words with my father and said that I shouldn't bring black people into our neighborhood. And my dad was so upset. She went across the street and knew the older man and lady and said that they had no right telling him who we were going to have at our house, and that girl's skin may be different than ours, but she was a human being.
After looking back on her years as a kid, Cathy realized how awful it was to treat African Americans with such disrespect. Cathy has seen huge improvements in the relationships between African Americans and whites during the last 50 years. However, Omaha continues to have one of the widest economic disparity between blacks and whites of any major U.S. city.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh,
hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
one day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure.